everyone, thank you for joining me today for this slow flow practice. Today we're just going to stay on our mats, so no standing postures, all seated, nice and calm and relaxed, once again for a restorative session. I'd like you to start in a cross-legged position on your mat. Perhaps you're sat on a block or a pillow. I'd like your spine to be long. Tuck the pelvis under slightly. Bring the shoulders back and down, and let's rest our hands in our lap. We're going to start off with a centering. So we're going to close down the eyes and begin to focus on the breath. Once again, we're not changing this in any way. We're just noticing the breath. We're noticing how it feels as it enters the body and how it feels as it leaves. We notice where the body moves and how it moves, whether it's smooth and easy and steady, or whether perhaps it's a bit laboured today. We notice how deep or shallow those breaths are. We notice where the movement is in the body. Maybe it's the shoulders. Maybe we're breathing in the top part of our lung. Maybe it's reaching all the way down into the diaphragm. But either way, let's just notice it for now. And as the mind starts to wander, we gently bring it back. And it doesn't matter how many times we have to do that. We just keep bringing it back to the breath, using the breath to anchor, to focus. We let go of all other thoughts, all other worries. We leave our to-do list at the door, along with our egos. We take this time to check in with ourselves. To live in the present moment, not focusing on the future or the past in any way, just living in the present. Focusing on that breath and how it feels right now. Maybe the air is cool entering your nostrils. Maybe it's warm as it leaves. Now I'd like you to iron out the brow, relax the eyelids, unclench the jaw, maybe a slight upturn of the corners of the mouth, just a little smile. And a deep breath in, and a long, slow breath out. Let's inhale again. And exhale, sigh it out. Twice more. Okay, let's return to your normal breath now. Now let's start to bring the exhale just a little bit deeper, a little bit longer than the inhale. Either through the nose or through the mouth, either's fine. Obviously, normally in yoga we breathe through the nose, both on the inhale and the exhale, but let's not worry about that today. Let's just keep it nice and steady, easy going. The main thing is I want you to really extend your exhalations now. Nice and slow, fully emptying the lungs at the bottom of the breath. Maybe you play around with some retention at this point, so maybe there's some retention in the middle where you've inhaled before you exhale, or maybe at the bottom of the breath once you've exhaled and before you inhale. Maybe just a slight bit of retention, or maybe not. Remember, if you start to feel lightheaded or strange in any way, return to your normal breath, listen to your body. We're just using this Vishamavriti breath to calm ourselves. We're working with the central nervous system. We're just starting to calm ourselves down. Leaving all those worries behind. Letting go. Just focusing on the moment, here and the now. Calm. Surrendering ourselves to the moment. Okay, let's take some deep breaths together. Deep, big breath in. And a long exhale out. And again. Last one. Smile. Relax the brow. If you're sat on a block, I'd like you to remove that now. We're coming onto all fours, tabletop position. So our shoulders are over our wrists, our hips are over our knees. Tops of the feet are flat against the top of the mat and we're looking to the edge of the mat, keeping the spine nice and long. We're going to inhale, bring the pelvis up, look up to the sky. Exhale, round out between the shoulder blades, tuck the pelvis under. We're keep moving with our breath, making these movements as big or as small as we need them to be. Just some gentle cat-cows, moving with the breath. Feeling into the spine. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. And an exhale. Let's return to our tabletop position. Grip the fingers down, spread the fingers nice and wide. We're going to bring the knee up to start to draw circles. Let's go in the other direction. Place the knee down. Come on to the other side. Other direction. And place the knee down. Tuck the toes underneath. Bring ourselves up. We're coming into toes pose, so spread the toes nice and wide, all in contact with the mat. Bring the sit bones to the heels. Shoulders roll back and down. Pelvis tucks under slightly. Backs of the hands onto the thighs. Relax the weight into the foot so that we can start to open out those feet. And as it starts to feel uncomfortable, we focus on the breath. Maybe come out of it if it becomes too much. Two more breaths. Okay, let's untuck the toes. Bring ourselves down into child's pose. Tops of the hands are against the mat by the feet. Drop ourselves down. Take a few moments here to focus on the breath, to steady the mind. Let the feet relax out. Okay, let's roll ourselves up. Place the hands onto the shoulders and start to draw circles with the elbows. Those circles can be as big or as small as you want. And you can go through the shoulder as fast or as slow as you'd like. If you find any sticky patches, maybe slow down or go back and forth in that area. Let's go in the other direction. Okay. Let's come down into extended child's pose. So the hands are out in front. We walk the fingertips forward, the forehead's against the mat. Place the hands down, stretching out those shoulders. Relax the brow. Feel the stretch. Two more breaths. And now the second breath. Okay, let's roll ourselves up again. We're coming up onto our knees. Tucking our toes underneath. We're coming into camel pose, so you could do this half, or you could do this fully. Just have a play around with what feels right for you today. So we're going to bring the arms up and start to bring ourselves down. So we're pressing the hips forward. We're coming into a back bend with it. We're aiming towards touching those heels, relaxing the head down, pressing the hips forward. If you wanted to do this half, then you just have one hand and the other hand up to the sky. Two more breaths. Okay, place your hands onto the lower back and start to bring ourselves out. Take the knees nice and wide, come down into wide-legged child pose. Hands out in front. Two more breaths. Okay, roll ourselves up. Bring the knees together. We're coming into camel pose again. So if you did half camel pose, then do the opposite hand this time. Push forward, let the neck relax down. Bring your hands to the lower back. Bring yourself out of the pose. Wide-legged child's pose once more. Relax down. Okay. Let's bring ourselves up. Swing the legs out in front. We're coming into Dandasana, staff pose. So there's a slight internal rotation on the thigh. The spine's nice and long. The shoulders are back and down. We're resting the hands against the mat. Now I have a very long torso, so I have to come onto fists. But if you can, then just place your hands onto the mat nice and flat. You might have to bend your knee, depends on the proportions of your torso. We're tensing the quads and the heels are going to come off the floor. So we're pointing the toes up, flexing the foot. Pulling up the pelvic floor. Bringing the tummy muscles in. Breathe. Relax the brow. Unclench the jaw. 2 breaths. 1. 2. Okay, relax the feet down. Let's just wobble out the legs a little bit. We're going to bring the right foot in towards the left thigh. So the left leg is still out in front of the hip. So we've not brought it out to the side or brought it in any way. We've just got that foot in towards the thigh. We inhale our arms up and exhale, fold down. Janusarasana. Feel that stretch on your hamstring. I'm not going to worry about our spine again in this position this week, so just let yourself relax down. If you need that knee to be bent, or if you want your hand position, just have a play around with where feels comfortable for you today. Okay, let's roll ourselves up. Swap the feet. Come on to the other side. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Let's roll ourselves up. Okay, we're going to place the hands down behind us so they're pointing forward. You have a choice here of either having the knees bent and bringing ourselves up, the upward facing table, or perhaps you want to have your feet flat, legs long. Upward facing plank, either choice. Use the glutes to bring yourself further up. 2 breaths. And bring yourself down. Let's come into Paschimottanasana once more. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Maybe we can take yogi toe lock at this point, so bringing the fingers round the big toes, pulling ourselves further in. Maybe we can go a bit deeper now. That stretch reflex has started to relax a little bit. Our bodies realise we're not going to injure ourselves. It's okay, we can go further in. And try and keep your mind focused on your breath as much as you can throughout this practice today. Counting your breaths or noticing how it feels. Just pay attention to the breath. Try and keep this nice and meditative. That's a mouthful. Okay, relax the hands. Slowly bring them up, rolling ourselves up. We're coming down onto our backs now. Bringing the knees into the chest, Apanasana. Rocking gently from side to side. We're going to come into happy baby. So have a play around with where you want your hands to be. So maybe they're just resting on the shins. Maybe they're on the toes, yogi toe lock. The soles of the feet are coming up towards the sky. The knees are pointing down towards the armpits. And we're trying to keep our shoulders in contact with the mat. We're opening out the hips. Try and pull in that pelvic floor. Relax the shoulders down, they might have started to creep up. I don't want you to worry about what your hand position is. I want you to be more concerned about opening out the hips and making sure the shoulders are in contact with the mat. Flex the foot. 2 more breaths. 1. 2. Let's come back to Apanasana. Knees in towards the chest. Rocking gently from side to side. Okay, we're going to place the feet onto the mat. We're going to use the glute muscles to bring ourselves up into bridge pose. So try and make sure that you can feel your heels with your fingertips. And that your knees are tracking in line with your hip points. It's really easy in some of these positions to find that your knees start to travel out wide and that your feet start to point out rather than tracking in line, so that the edge edges of the feet are parallel with the edges of the mat. It's really easy to find that, so try and pay attention to that. It's the same also when you're doing upward facing bow or any of these kinds of positions. To be honest, it starts to drift out, so do pay attention to that. Okay, and we're going to just work our way up through the vertebrae. So we're starting to lift the pelvis, working our way through our spine, bringing ourselves up a bit at a time, using the glutes, tensing the quads. Pay attention to those knees. Maybe we're starting to bring the shoulders underneath, clasping the hands together, keeping the hands against the mat. Two more breaths. Try and bring yourself up a bit higher for this last breath. Okay. Unclasp the hands, bring the shoulders back, and slowly bring yourself down towards the mat. We're coming up into shoulder stand, so you can do that by a bridge. Maybe you just want to be in bridge and just play around with bringing one leg up and then the other. Maybe that's enough for you today. Maybe you want to come into full shoulder stand. We're trying to bring ourselves further over towards the shoulder. We're starting to bring the toes down now if you have taken shoulder stand. Relaxing the hands so they're flat against the mat. We're coming into plow. So the toes are back behind the head. Sit bones towards the sky. Legs nice and strong. Try not to move the head in any way in these positions. If you want to, you could start to bend the knees so they're down by the ears, bringing the sit bones further up, blocking off any sound, so then you're forced to focus on the breath. Okay, if you've bent your knees, straighten them now. Come back into plow. And then back into shoulder stand. And slowly lower ourselves down into asana, knees to chest. We're going to rock from side to side a couple of times. And then we're going to rock up and down the spine, coming into Sukhasana. Once we're in this position, have a play around with bringing the feet up so that we're coming towards being in a lotus. Don't worry if you can't do that, that's fine. Maybe you're just bringing one foot in towards the hip crease, keeping the other foot out in front. Maybe you can bring the other one. ourselves into eagle arms, bringing either the palms together or the backs of the hands, pressing out between the shoulders, focusing the drishti or the gaze point on the hands, spine nice and long, point the toes. Two breaths. Okay, let's unravel ourselves and come back into Sukhasana. Focus on the breath. Let's do 3 big breaths in and sighs out. Breathing in. Sighing out. Again, at this point, I'd like to invite you to do your Shavasana, so relaxing yourself down onto your mat into corpse pose and just taking 5 minutes to focus on yourself, checking in with yourself, letting everything go and just enjoying the moment. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please do let me know. Please do like and subscribe and pass on the information about these videos to any friends or family members that you think may benefit from the practice. It's a particularly difficult time at the moment, so I think that these slow flow practices are just what we need to just take that time for ourselves. The whole world now is, well, most of the world now is having to take this pause. And I think let's really make the most of this time, enjoying that downtime, because we're always so busy rushing around, going here, there, and everywhere. We often don't really listen to ourselves, listen to our body, our mind, our spirit. We're just too busy with other things. So let's really take this time to check in with ourselves and to notice how we are, where we are. Try and make the most of it. Thank you for joining me this week. Hopefully see you next week. The light inside me honors the light inside you. Namaste. Thank you.